Hey, this is Eric Ostermueller. I'd like to share with you a new project that I've just released today. It's called Load Test in a Box, and it is a training platform for Java performance. Okay, so as you can kind of see over here in the description, um, it's an easy to install Uber jar file that comes with a system under test and the Java code there includes performance bugs and performance fixes. Um, it comes with a load generator, it's JMeter, and it comes with great monitoring with something called GlowRoot from glowroot.org, which is the best open source monitoring I've ever seen for Java applications. I know a handful of teams that have used this in production with great success, super low overhead. I think you really like it. Okay, so let's get started. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go over these system requirements real quickly, but we're going to spend most of our time on these, going through these 8 steps on how it works, how to download, run this, and how to get to the, I'm calling these 2 sample scenario puzzles that walk you through a performance problem. They allow you to just click on a button to run a particular Java workload, and then you get to explore under the covers what's happening, right? And of course, you need some great performance tools for this. And again, GlowRoot is one tool that you'll have access to. But you can also use the great tools that come with the JDK, right? JStack and JCMD, JMap, and JStat, JSTAT. That's great for garbage collection metrics. So let's jump in. So the system requirements are pretty straightforward. Whoops. There we go. System requirements are pretty straightforward. So you need to download the Uber jar file, which will be less than 400 megabytes. And the entire package, once it's up and running, will take up less than 1.5 gig of space on your disk. Okay. And so in addition to the 400 meg-ish Uber jar file, when you launch this, the system under test will automatically unpackage itself to your home folder, actually a newly created folder under your home. You'll need about 2 CPU cores, just because we're doing performance stuff, some multi-threaded performance stuff. It's safe to have 2 cores or more, and you need at least 8 gig of RAM. And you're going to need your own JDK, not a JRE, but a JDK that includes, again, those performance tools, JStack, JMap, etc. And I've tested this on Windows and Mac, and it really should work on Linux. And if you have any issues getting it started, please open a GitHub issue and give me some details. Let me know what the problem was. Let me know what error messages you're looking at, okay? And the JDK that you have, it really should be in the path, your system path, so that you can open a terminal or a cmd.exe, type Java space dash version, and the Java will be immediately accessible there from the directory that you're in. Okay. So how it works. So again, you need to download this Uber jar file, and I've got kind of crappy internet. It takes me about 10 or 15 minutes to download this. A little bit long, but I think it's going to be worth it. So let's jump in. Okay, so I already have my JDK installed. And let's test it out real quick. Ta-da, there it is. It's a 1.8 JDK. You know it's a JDK because the Java compiler is installed. You see that when I type Java C for Java compiler, it shows the actual program there. Okay, so the next step here is to actually run this command. So I'm just going to copy this directly. And get this started. Okay. Now, one thing that the load test in a box does is it launches a handful of Java processes on your own system. Okay. And we want that so that you can get your hands dirty looking under the covers of those processes. Okay. So here, everything is installing right now. I'm just going to open a separate window here, and I'm going to run JCMD. okay, which again is in the path because I've got my JDK in the path. And ta-da! It shows that here is the agent, right? The Uber jar already listed in the list of Java processes from JCMD. Okay, so note that we've got one process here, and interestingly, this is kind of like a selfie. JCMD has caught itself running. Okay, so we've got the load test in a box Uberjar and the JCMD, and get ready because we're going to launch some more processes. So back to the instructions here, these eight points we're going to go over. I'm going to open the user interface by opening this in a separate tab. And we've got a few things here. We've got these two buttons that'll help you launch the system under test and the load generator right here. The load generator is JMeter, great open source load generator that applies stress to your code to understand whether it can handle the load or not. And down here in the bottom left, we see all the components of the system under test. We're going to have an H2 database, which will have more than 3 million rows in the database, just so that we can have some realistic performance. What does it look like for a query to perform well in less than, I don't know, 100 milliseconds, that type of thing? We'll have WireMock here. You know what? I'm going to get it started right now so you can see these things. Okay, so I hit the checkbox. The system under test is starting, right? That's the status. And down here, we're going to see these health indicators start to go green. Very exciting. Whoops, there's one already. So WireMock is up and started. And look, there we go. H2 is started as well. And here's the system under test. Notice that the PID says -1. That's not great. That's not a real PID. But gosh, right now, the actual PID just showed up. It's 42,424. So that process ID is going to be real important. I'll show you why. Because now we have, whoa, a handful of processes. Before, we were just looking at the selfie from JCMD, and we were looking at, oh, where is it? Where's the Uber jar? The Uber jar is right here, okay? But once we click the system under test, we launched all these other processes. You know what? I'm going to start the load generator as well, okay? And now we can see JMeter here in the process. Where's JMeter, JMeter, JMeter? Well, heck, it's in there somewhere. But my point about looking at the process ID, 42,424, that's helpful. JStack 42,424, right? So I'm going to press enter here, and whoa, what's this? This is a thread dump, okay? And it just scrolled across the screen. Most of that text is lost, but you can pipe that to my stack trace.txt. Whoops, I spelled it wrong. Oh well. And your thread dump will be located in this little file. Okay, so in this video, we're not going to go into how to look at this information and figure out what's healthy and what is having performance problems, but that's how you use JStack in order to capture a thread dump. So the cool thing about, so you can find chaos tools that create havoc in a system, and that's really cool and really helpful, and you need that in order to understand what's keeping your system from being more resilient. Super important. And load test in a box has some aspects of a chaos tool, but we're using this more as a Java performance training tool with specific guided scenarios. Okay, so here in the Markdown content, right, I clicked here. You see how I did that? I clicked this, opened it up, and expanded part 1. And now I'm going to go into the second scenario, chunky versus chatty. And here we have, I'm calling this a scenario puzzle, right? Because I'm describing a scenario. Hey, there's this team that is experiencing this performance problem, and they're completely stuck, right? And this scenario walks you through the problem, and it shows you how to run code that's part of this scenario. So when I click on this link right here, bang, we're running a different kind of workload. And if I click on maybe, I don't know, this link right here, let's see it away from there. We're running yet a different type of code right now. It just changes in an instant. That's the cool thing about the load test in a box. So one neat thing is that load test in a box comes with this fantastic glow root monitoring. So did you see how I did that? I went down here. I said open link in new tab, and bang, here's glow root monitoring. So this is our history of the last minute or so running, right? We started the load test in a box a few minutes ago. We launched some code under load, and then here we are at the current time. Notice that the time frame here is just the last 3 minutes. So when you actually make a change down here running one of these links, what's going to happen is that you might not see the impact over here for a few seconds. So what you need to do is you need to go ahead and hit the refresh button over here, and bang, then you get the adjusted picture of the changed workload that you just selected in load test in a box. Okay, so really that's the end of our guided tour here. So this is a reminder to you all, when you get started in here, start to learn about, start to run through these scenarios. When you're finished, you just need to remember that your system is under stress right now. So let's go to the CPU consumption. So we're running some code right now under load. So let's go ahead and stop the load. And we'll see our indicators go from green to gray here in a second. What happened to our task manager? Okay, you know what? Let's make this smaller. Let's bring the task manager up. There we go. Okay, so we stopped the load generator, but there's still some stuff running on the box. So let's go ahead and stop the entire system under test here. Well, wait, hang on a second. This will be kind of helpful. Let's hear all the processes that are running here, right? And let's go ahead and stop the system under test. Okay, so all of these indicators are going to go from green to gray here in just a second. And look at that. It looks like the glow root process is still hanging on there. I think it'll stop here in a second. Yeah, there it is. It just stopped. And so look, we still have the selfie of JCMD, kind of funny. And we still have the agent portion. This is how the UI is delivered. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to shut this down. Okay, so here, back in the window with the Star Wars font, the word success, I'm just going to hit Control-C to stop this. Okay, and this stack trace here, this is just our our health meter that's doing a check. I need to fix this bug right here, but it's not causing any problems. And now you can type JCMD, and the load test in the box is done. So your machine is back to normal. So that's the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I just wanted to encourage you all to download the UberJar here and to run through those 2 performance scenarios. My guess, and I'd like your all's feedback on this, is that maybe each scenario might take 15 or so minutes to run through. But gosh, shoot me a message and let me know how it goes. I'd like to know how long it takes you all to get through these scenarios. So good luck running these scenarios, and I'd love to hear about your progress. Keep me posted. Thanks, y'all.